All right, good morning. Welcome to the Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee. Our first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak this morning? Welcome, Dee.
How you doing?
Great.
How's everybody doing? I'm D. Jones. I stay on the best side of town. And just very thankful to be here and speak to you guys. Wanted to update you guys on the esports competition. I did it on the 17th. So first of all, I want to thank Kent Dems. I want to thank Kent Dems because I offered both parties, both political parties, to come to this event. Didn't see one person from the Republicans there. And I give you guys an opportunity to come to the hood, to come to the underserved neighborhood where there's a lot of violence, where there's been a lot of shootings, where there's been a lot of people crying. And I did try to do it nonpartisanly because I don't favor any party. It's Democrats I don't like, believe it. I'm not going to name the Dems, but it's Dems I don't like. And I just thank the Dems, the party, just for coming there. Because the people need to see these political parties. Regardless of whatever party they vote for, if they vote for Donald Trump or if they don't vote for Joe Biden or Robert F. Kennedy or any of these political candidates or whoever from the Green Tea Party, I just need the people to see people. I need the black people to see, black people in the hood to see political parties, to see that you guys care. To see that you guys actually care about human beings and the concerns. And the only political party that showed up was the Kent Dems. So that's why they're on Fox 17 in the hood. That's why it's the first time that I've ever seen since I've been in GR, since I've been around Kent County, that a political party has come to something and actually listened to the concerns of people in that hood, in that neighborhood, and I can vouch for that. It's even on TV, Fox 17. Look who really owns Fox. And then tell me who cares. I offered you guys the same opportunity. You guys could have easily had some people that go volunteer and have some people come and walk around in there. But obviously, I see where you guys' priorities is. I see where you guys' priorities lie. It's not with those people that are struggling. It's not with those people that need you guys to act fair in a bipartisan way so we can see true economic change. That's sad. It's very sad. We had electric vehicles. We had a solar panel there. We educated the youth, 30-plus youth, black kids. They got educated on solar energy and electric vehicles. And you guys could have been there. And they actually enjoyed it. 30-plus black kids. Do you know how hard it is to get the youth to engage? I even got 8 young black kids to register to vote. So you can't tell me that gaming can't help these kids. They just need something that can help them. Something that's cool and innovative that can capture their attention. I offered you guys the same opportunity. I know who cares. It's the Dems that care. Because where was the Republicans? Don't ask me what about the June 8th $100,000 esports finals at the DeVos. Yeah, that's very big. Anybody would like to be there. But when I need y'all to be there for the hood, the Dems were there. Thank you.
All right, is there any other public comment? Seeing none, our next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and it includes the minutes from February 6th, auditing of checks and purchase order activity, and also a couple items from the Parks Department. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner McLeod, support by Commissioner Wooden. Any questions or comments, changes to the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. That brings us to item 3 from the Administrator's Office, Fiscal Services. It's the 2025 Budget Process Guidelines.
All right. Action requested to approve the following list of guidelines in preparation of the 2025 county budget. Summary of request. The County Administrator Controller is directed to present a general fund budget that is structurally balanced and establishes the appropriate budget targets to achieve the goals laid out in the board's strategic plan. Zero-based budgeting will be utilized for all line items. This means each department should assume that the account rolls back to the last amended budget of the previous year to rebuild the rationale for increases to that account. There will be additional general fund resources provided for requested new positions which meet a critical need or provide a vital service. According to the CIP policy, a minimum of 0.20 mils of the general property tax levy will be set aside for capital improvements for the 2025 budget.
All right, thanks, Sal. Is there a motion for this item?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wooden. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Sparks. Questions or comments? I know Al wanted to expand on this a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that soon you'll be asked to approve a budget calendar. I just wanted you to know the staff has been hard at work. We've had several meetings talking about the budget process and how we can build more commissioner input into the appropriate places of the process. And we'll be either having a board work session or other meetings soon to talk through that, so.
Any questions or comments on this item? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. That brings us to item number 4 from the animal shelter, and it's revisions to the animal shelter fee schedule.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve amendments to the animal shelter's fee schedule effective March 1, 2024. Summary, the animal shelter is committed to maintaining a reasonable fee schedule which captures the cost of services provided and increases from contractual services received. As a result, the animal shelter is proposing new adjustments to better align fees with associated costs. The animal shelter is recommending changes to several fees with an effective date of March 1, 2024, detailed in the attached schedule. Except for the surrender fee, the last adjustment to these fees was in 2013. The animal shelter estimates that the proposed fee changes will generate an additional $10,700 annually. Due to timing, this additional revenue was not included in the 2024 budget estimate.
All right, thanks, Al. Is there a motion for this item? So moved. Moved by Commissioner Merchant? Or Commissioner McLeod, sorry. Is there support? Support. Support by Commissioner Kallman. Questions or comments? We do have Angela Hollinshead here from the animal shelter. Yes, Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. I was just curious, what are the fees for turning in a lost pet?
There are no fees for turning in a lost pet to the Kent County Animal Shelter.
Okay,
Yep, it's
so
a
that's
public
different than the
service.
Humane Society, I think, has a fee probably, or they used to, I was just curious.
Probably.
Okay.
I don't know what that would be.
Well, good. I hope we maintain that, because I remember going to the Humane Society a few times. They had sticker shock. I'm just trying to turn in a dog, and next thing you know, it's like $40 or something. I was like, so anyhow, I just want to make sure we're not doing that.
Yeah, yep, as a municipal county shelter, there's no fee for strays.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, yeah, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Just, seeing that the last time this fee was increased was 10 years ago, we've certainly, prices have increased since then. Is it statutorily required that all fee increases have to affirmatively get board approval, or can there be a built-in inflator with a waiving process? Just because, a 10-year jump is more stark than a gradual annual jump. And I'm just wondering, is that something that's legally allowed, so that rather than having a huge, or not huge, but a spike every 10 years, something that's a little more gradual may be more beneficial to our fee payers?
If this board, in its resolution, adopted a fee for day one, and that fee resolution included a CPI adjuster or something like that, then you would have board approval on that adjustment mechanism.
Obviously, not prepared to do such a thing with this, but that might be something worth considering for the board, if only because, a fee every 10 years that jumps, that has a more significant jump, 30% jump or 25% jump, is certainly, if it's between that or something that is allowed to increase gradually every year, personally, I think I would prefer that, but can certainly understand why it's coming before us. So just something to consider going forward.
That is a good point. Any other questions or comments? Oh, Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted a little bit more information on this livestock adoption fee. That one kind of threw me, and I was like, what is this?
So routinely, we will take small livestock animals. A lot of times, I think the last instance we had was sheep in 2021. They're usually brought to us by animal control or by local law enforcement. If somebody were to call the animal shelter and say, I can't keep my sheep, we would refer them to rescue partners, because we're not really set up to intake sheep as a surrender. But they get loose from people in the county, and because we partner with animal control, inevitably we end up with sheep and goats and pigs and peacocks. So the fowl, the chickens and the peacocks, those fall under our pocket pet fee of $10. And then we decided, because some of these other livestock species are a little bit bigger, there's a little bit more care involved, that it made sense to have a little bit of an elevated adoption fee for them. We don't see them very frequently, but they show up. We get them.
Thank you.
It's a great question. I was wondering the same thing. Commissioner Sparks,
Good question. It's answered now.
you're all set?
I'm all set.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much for helping us out today. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. That brings us to Human Resources. It's a labor agreement from the Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve a 4-year labor agreement for the period of January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2027 between the County of Kent, the Office of the Sheriff, and the Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, and to authorize the board chair or designee to sign the agreement. Summary, approval is requested for a 4-year labor agreement with the FOP, which represents 290 patrol and emergency communications staff. Changes are summarized below. Wages will increase 4% in '24, 3% in '25, and 2% in '26. A wage reopener will apply for 2027. The structure of the pay scale for the patrol deputy position will be amended to enhance recruitment and retention in the highly currently competitive market for this position. A market adjustment of $1 per hour will apply to the G step of the pay scale for the Emergency Communications Operator 2 position. A high deductible health plan will be added with 15% employee premium contribution and associated employer wellness incentive program. Add a $100 copay for specialty medications and lower RX out-of-pocket maximum. The maximum retiree health care stipend will increase from $400 to $450 per month. The effective date of a separate retiree health care rating pool will be postponed to January 1, 2025. 80 hours of paid parental leave will be added for employees hired on or after 1/1/2019. Add 40 hours of PTO, reduce vacation by 16 hours for the first 3 years of employment, and expedite eligibility for PTO and short-term disability coverage for new hires. Employees hired on or after 1/1/2014 will be covered under the county's long-term disability plan. Employees hired before 1/1/2019 will be offered a one-time opportunity to enroll in the county's short-term disability plan. Maximum supplemental life insurance coverage will increase from $150,000 to $450,000. The increase to salary, excluding 27 and 28, and benefit cost over the term of the agreement is $6,957,565.
All right, thanks. Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner Antor. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Oliver King. All right, questions or comments regarding this? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Next item also comes from Human Resources. It's a labor agreement, amendment to the collective bargaining agreements for parks, assistant prosecuting attorneys, and attorney referees.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to approve amended collective bargaining agreements for assistant prosecuting attorneys, attorney referees, and Teamsters parks. Summary of request. The collective bargaining agreements for the county's assistant prosecuting attorneys, attorney referees, and parks took effect on January 1, 2023. These agreements include a provision whereby the agreement would be reopened to negotiate across-the-board wage increases for 2026. It is recommended that a 2% across-the-board wage increase for 2026 be approved for these bargaining units to maintain consistency with the county's 6 other represented employee groups, which were all offered a 2% across-the-board wage increase for 2026. The cost of the additional salary increases for 2026 is $151,346.
All right, thanks, Al. Is there a motion for this item?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wooden. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Kallman. Questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Did have one question. So we are reopening this to add the 2% because that was included in the other contracts recently approved. But by doing that, does that close opportunity to reopen and negotiate wage increases in 2026 if 2% is lower than the cost of living adjustment?
Yes, it would, but there would always be an opportunity for the unions to take that into account as they negotiate for 2027.
Gotcha. And have all collective bargaining units that we're discussing today, have they all approved these amendments themselves internally?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. That brings us to item 7, our financial status report. We've got Jeff Doe joining us this morning to go through it with us.
Good morning. Thanks, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So you'll notice in this first quarter report a lot of blanks in the year-to-year comparison over last year. That's because we changed our fiscal year. So if we try to compare a fourth quarter from last year to a first quarter of this year, the comparisons wouldn't make any sense. So we just left those blank for now. We won't actually have a true comparison until first quarter of next year because of the, again, fiscal year change. Overall, though, we obviously track this very closely. It's not unusual to see a first quarter of expenses over revenues. You can see this year it's about 8.6 million. Last quarter, if we compare March 31 to March 31, is about 15.5. So nothing unusual there on page 2. Moving on to page 3, just total expenses, 47.8 million. If you extrapolate that out times 4, it's about 191 million, so well below our budget right now. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts yet, and we'll continue to track that. So nothing unusual there at this point. If you go to page 4 on the cash flow or the fund balance, you can see 116.3 million, which is up considerably over 86.9 last year on 9/30, and that was anticipated to go up due to the additional cash flow needs for that first quarter. So we will look at adjusting our fund balance policy in the future. As we've talked before, it's currently 40%. We're thinking maybe somewhere between 45 and 50, but we're going to go a couple of years until we have a better history on that, and then bring that back to you guys for adjustment. So we continue to track that closely. On page 5, you can see our 104 day of available cash, 94.9 million, still very strong. Nothing really unusual to report there at all. Chart 6 shows the cash flow and why we need the reserves. You can see during June, July, the low part of our collection cycle, and then taxes are due, so the cash starts going back in July, August, September. So nothing unusual there. And then the last page is the lodging excise tax fund. You'll note a big deficit to start the year, and that's because our large bond payment is due December 1st, and then our collections will make that up over the course of the year. So overall, good report. Again, sorry for no comparison to last year, but it really wouldn't have made a lot of sense, so we just left those blank. So be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions? Yes, Commissioner Kallman.
Thanks, Chair. I think you just answered this, Jeff, but I was curious about the DeVos Place debt service, 138,000% increase. So is that because of the balloon on that?
Nope, it's because of the change in the fiscal year, and it's a 12/1 bond payment. So obviously, whatever fiscal year that falls in, it makes a huge difference in the budget. So
got it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate you giving us a little bit of a timeline on fund balance review. My question is, I know that consistency with our policy is one of the main things that our bond rating agencies value. Is there a cost to maintaining a fund balance policy as it is currently, even if we, because of cash flow payments, essentially are always exceeding that minimum fund balance requirement? Essentially, is there a cost to not changing the policy even if we end up with a practice where our year-end fund balance is always higher than the 40% minimum?
I mean, we'd like to have an accurate fund balance policy, obviously, because our rating agencies use that. So if we're consistently above it, there's no statutory requirement to have that. That's more an internal fund balance policy. So that could be a discussion topic in the future. Did I answer your question? Or?
It does, yeah. And the main reason I ask it is, the public still, I frankly did not fully wrap my heads around fund balance versus being a point-in-time assessment and not a total amount in a savings account or a rainy day fund until I served on this board, right? It's still, it is a harder concept, I think, for the broader public to understand, if we're going to be considering a change in fund balance policy, I think that's something we need to take into consideration.
Sure.
And so that was why I at least asked the question.
Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. Could you speak to the estimated appropriation lapse of 6.5 million? I just wanted to know a little bit more about what that entails.
So every year when we prepare the budget, $6.5 million's been used for at least as long as I've been here. I think quite a bit before that as well. We anticipate every year that not everyone's going to spend 100% of their budget, so we build in a lapse, which we feel won't be spent. So that really balances the budget each and every year, $6.5 million, and we've typically consistently exceeded that over past history. So it's a common phrase or a common budgeting tool because we know of all the appropriations. And again, $6.5 million is our estimate of what won't be spent, so we don't actually allocate that to departments. Does that make sense?
Just a quick follow-up then. So where has that come in, say, for instance, the last few years? What's been the actuals?
So it's kind of a difficult question. I don't have all the numbers in front of me. The last several years since I've been here, we've put about $2.5 million towards fund balance each and every year, but we've also done additional contributions to strategic capital. So we've consistently exceeded that 6.5 since I've been here. So.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I do have one. On page 5, you mentioned the days of cash on hand being 104 days. What is the best practice? We talk about this a lot on the airport board, and we're closer to 300 or 400 days cash on hand.
Okay.
So for a county, what is the best practice for cash on hand?
I think that's all across the board, Commissioner Breivy, or Chair Breivy. I've seen it, different entities have different policies, kind of depending on their revenue stream. So like City of Grand Rapids, they had income tax over there as their primary revenue source, which is more fluctuating than, let's say, our revenue source of property taxes, where it's more consistent. So, I mean, I like to see at least 90 days, 3 months worth for a county our size, and 4 months, 5 months. But as far as best practice, I think it varies by entity and their funding sources, primary funding sources.
Okay.
If that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Thanks so much for joining us
Sure.
today. That brings us to Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any miscellaneous? All right, we are adjourned, and our next meeting will be Tuesday, March 5 at 8:30 a.m. Thanks for joining us this morning.